The Black Friday BOGO sale is here at All Family Pharmacy. And let me tell you, this is the kind of deal that actually matters. From November 24th through December 2nd, when you buy one ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, or mebendazole, you get another one absolutely free. So at a time when Americans are tired of being lectured and restricted by bureaucrats, this is your chance to be prepared on your terms. No politics, no gatekeepers. Just real options that put you in control. Here's how simple it is. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/stone. Place your order online and a licensed physician reviews it immediately. Once approved, your medication ships straight to your door. Fast, private, and secure. This Black Friday event lasts only 1 week and supplies are limited. So when the inventory is gone, that's it. No extensions, no second chances. Just like every other real deal worth talking about seriously. If you want to stay ready, stay protected, and stay independent, go to allfamilypharmacy.com/stone before December 2nd and lock in your Black Friday BOGO deal. Take control of your health. Stay prepared and stay free.
Hi, I'm here to pick up my son Milo. There's no Milo here.
Who picked up my son from school?
Streaming only on Peacock.
I'm gonna need the name of everyone that could have a connection.
You don't understand. It was just the 5 of us.
So this was all planned. What are you gonna do?
I will do whatever it takes to get my son back.
I honestly didn't see this coming. These nice people killing each other.
All Her Fault. A new series streaming now only on Peacock.
The Stone Zone. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
You are now entering the Stone Zone. I hope you and your family had an extraordinarily restful and blessed Thanksgiving. We certainly did in the Stone household. Of course, because I am of Italian-American heritage, we began with the sausage, the meatballs, the braciole, the bolognese sauce that we call Sunday gravy, because I'm from Connecticut, right outside New York City, and that's what my parents and my grandparents called it. 1/3 beef, 1/3 pork, 1/3 veal, San Marzano tomatoes, lots of garlic, and cooked over a low heat with various spices, principally oregano, for about 4.5 hours on very, very low heat. That's the precursor to the traditional Thanksgiving dinner, which, of course, is turkey, ham, mashed potatoes, mashed turnips, some called rutabagas by others, but they take a long time because they're hard as a rock when you first peel them and cube them. You have to soften them, and lots of butter. Of course, fresh green peas, the turkey traditional bread stuffing with turkey gravy. God, my mouth is watering already, and it's the day after. But there's something afoot in the country that I've seen before. I guess you call this deja vu. I saw it the first time. I felt it when I was 19 years old. I was working for Richard Nixon. And what we now know, based on declassified documents, is that there was indeed a governmental media conspiracy to take Richard Nixon down. Declassified documents show us that the Central Intelligence Agency was well aware of the Watergate break-in before it happened, that they infiltrated the burglar team with at least 4 of the Watergate burglars still being on the payroll of the CIA, and Richard Nixon was toppled in what they kept telling us was a constitutional crisis. In fact, members of the Watergate prosecutors team, specifically Nick Ackerman, who constantly is on MSNBC, where he tries to pose as some kind of bipartisan, nonpartisan law enforcement prosecutor, when in fact he's a virulent left-wing partisan Democrat, removed Richard Nixon from office. This was only 5 years after they removed John F. Kennedy from office. Same people, in my opinion, the military-industrial complex. That's what Dwight Eisenhower called them. Today we call them the deep state. But if you see what's going on in the news, you can already see the storm clouds founding. There are elements of our government, specifically in the intelligence agencies, aligned with some of those in the Congress, in the Democrat Party, and these external groups like Black Lives Matter, Antifa, and other radical terrorist groups who just will not be satisfied with the results of the last general election that was won by Donald Trump. And therefore, many of us believe that there's what they call a color revolution coming. This manifested itself last week when 6 elected Democrats, including U.S. Senators Alyssa Slotkin of Michigan, who is a former CIA analyst who worked for John Brennan, who orchestrated the most recent attempt to facilitate a coup d'etat in America, the successful one of 2020, the whole January 6th hoax, which we were lied to about whether that was an insurrection or a fedsurrection, teamed up with Mark Kelly of Arizona, a U.S. Senator, former astronaut, Congressman Chris DeLuzio of Pennsylvania, Maggie Goodlander of New Hampshire, Chrissy Houlihan of Pennsylvania, and Jason Crow of Colorado, in which they were all seen saying that members of our military should ignore illegal or unlawful orders by the commander-in-chief. Now, the problem of this, of course, is that when Senator Slotkin was questioned in various interviews, neither he nor Mark Kelly, who went on with Jimmy Kimmel, talk about hitting the bottom of the barrel, neither one of them could identify any so-called illegal order by the President of the United States, no unconstitutional or unlawful order. But what really bothered me was that Senator Slotkin actually said, we are days away from somebody shooting one of these National Guardsmen who President Trump has sent into our urban areas to preserve order. And sure enough, while we were on the air only, I guess, 2 days ago now, we learned that a 29-year-old Afghan national who had come here in the wake of Joe Biden's disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan, a man named Ramanullah Lakwal, had shot and so far killed one and wounded another U.S. Army National Guardsman in D.C. Here's the problem, and you may hear this exclusively here on the Stone Zone. He was brought here in the wake of our withdrawal from Afghanistan, but under U.S. asylum law, he had only 1 year and 1 year only to apply for and be granted legal asylum, but he was granted legal asylum 3 years after he arrived here in violation of federal asylum law. Why is that? That's because the shooter worked for the CIA. He worked for the CIA in Afghanistan before coming to the United States. In 2012, he was recruited as a GPS tracker specialist for the Unit 103 of the Kandahar Strike Force, an Afghan paramilitary unit that initially operated under CIA direction before transitioning to support the Afghan National Directorate of Security. And then during the 2021 withdrawal from Afghanistan, he assisted allegedly in guarding U.S. forces at Kabul's airport as part of the evacuation efforts. This prior collaboration is what qualified him to enter the United States under Operation Allies Welcome under Joe Biden. But it's very odd that he was not granted asylum until 3 years after he arrived here. So I think CIA Director John Ratcliffe and FBI Director Kash Patel, who have confirmed his role with the CIA, have some explaining to do. Then the other thing I don't really understand, based on all news reports before shooting the 2 U.S. Army guardsmen, he yelled, Ali Akbar, which, of course, is the slogan of radical Islam. So this, I keep reading that the investigators are looking for a motive. I think there is his motive. This whole thing smells to me like the beginning of what they call a color revolution. So whether it's a protest industrial complex deal run by the left-wing activist groups, bankrolled by unhinged progressive billionaires' dark money's NGO networks, nonstop corporate leftist media like the New York Times and NBC, which is designed to delegitimize Trump's election and sway sentiment polls, the continued judicial warfare waged by radicalized left-wing judges, constant orchestrated scandals and leaks, the involvement of foreign-aligned nonprofits, student-driven pressure movements, and even the weaponization of far-left militant groups, all of these are the elements functioning together as interconnected spokes in something much darker and more dangerous, the so-called color revolution, a regime change operated and orchestrated by left-wing billionaire kings and Democrats. The latest example, as I said, was the so-called scripted seditious 6 video by 6 elected Democrats urging the military to refuse illegal orders without specifying any order that fits that definition. This is textbook color revolution pressure messaging. It reads as if the script were lifted right from a CIA playbook for overseas regime change operations using pressure campaigns so obvious now that even the average American can recognize what's going on. 1, delegitimize Trump with a campaign in the mainstream media. 2, frame normal authority as somehow illegitimate. 3, attempt to mobilize civil disobedience. And 4, attempt to trigger defection in the military and intelligence world. We've seen this all before. Recall that riots in Los Angeles earlier this year were manufactured by leftist groups that were a form of pressure campaign to sow chaos against the administration to sway sentiment polls before the election. But that, of course, failed. New York Times best-selling author Peter Schweitzer, along with his lead researcher Seamus Bruner and Jenica Pounds, who's on X as Data Republican, others like Mike Benz, have been moving the needle with their observations and bombshell findings of how the dark money NGO ecosystem operates to conduct these color revolution operations, not only abroad, but increasingly inside the United States since 2016. The very term color revolution has risen to its highest level since the Marxist Antifa BLM riots in 2020. The constant pressure campaign is worsening, from riots in Los Angeles to Antifa attacks on ICE and border patrols. But this later scripted seditious 6 video urging the military to refuse illegal orders shows that the left is growing more and more desperate as it finds it's backed against the wall with their network funding being cut by this administration. The big picture view of the left's color revolution operation actually came from my good friend, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. Let's listen to Mike Flynn.
Number one, we need the Oval Office to throttle, and I mean throttle down on this idea of information operations and understand that we are in the middle of what is called unrestricted warfare. Unrestricted warfare is where it is boundless what you can do, and it comes out of, you've talked a lot about this, Alex, it comes out of the Chinese manual back in the late 90s, which I've read that a bunch of times. I've written a manual myself on 5th generation warfare. Unrestricted warfare is without bounds. That is what we are in the midst of right now, and everybody needs to understand that. So
you're talking full spectrum war.
I mean, everything. You're talking about the idea of illegal exploitation of different commodities, human beings, drugs. We're talking about false action and false flags when it comes to economic warfare, right? You say you're going to do something and you do just the opposite.
So there you have it. General Flynn, a former national security advisor, one of the finest Christian gentlemen and patriotic American leaders it's ever been my great honor to know. I've become friends with both General Flynn and his entire family, his 9 brothers and sisters, every one of them fine human beings, patriots, great friends of the Stone family. But General Flynn is outlining exactly what's going on in this country. They're preparing for an upheaval, for a not so unviolent revolution. When we come back in the Stone Zone, I'm going to go through what the key elements of that are. And then I'm going to tell you, yesterday I took the time to drive down to Miami to look at the $3.8 million condominium that's owned by Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine. So you got to wonder, how does a guy that's a former actor, comedian, who appears to me to have been drafted to play the part of a president in a drama, how does he afford that? Well, evidently there's a huge amount of corruption around Zelensky, and now he and those around him have been busted. Is this going to put President Trump's peace plan in danger? There is every possibility that it could. We'll talk about that when we come back. You're listening to the Stone Zone here on the Red Apple Audio Networks. Folks, we're on the verge of what I think is an attempted coup d'etat in this country. it was signaled by these members of the military now serving in public office, urging those in our uniform to disobey orders from the commander-in-chief that they said were illegal, but not a single one of them, not Mark Kelly, not Senator Slotkin, could actually identify any illegal order. We're in very dangerous territory here. I saw it in Watergate. I saw it and wrote about it, of course, in the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. I saw it again on January 6th. I'm getting that same vibe, folks, and I'll fill you in when we return. Whatever you do, don't touch that dial. The Black Friday BOGO sale is here at All Family Pharmacy. And let me tell you, this is the kind of deal that actually matters. From November 24th through December 2nd, when you buy one ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, or mebendazole, you get another one absolutely free. So at a time when Americans are tired of being lectured and restricted by bureaucrats, this is your chance to be prepared on your terms. No politics, no gatekeepers. Just real options that put you in control. Here's how simple it is. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/stone. Place your order online and a licensed physician reviews it immediately. Once approved, your medication ships straight to your door. Fast, private, and secure. This Black Friday event lasts only 1 week and supplies are limited. So when the inventory is gone, that's it. No extensions, no second chances. Just like every other real deal worth talking about seriously. If you want to stay ready, stay protected, and stay independent, go to allfamilypharmacy.com/stone before December 2nd and lock in your Black Friday BOGO deal. Take control of your health. Stay prepared and stay free.
This episode is brought to you by Blink. Blink Friday starts now with up to 65% off Blink Smart Security. Check on your pets all season long with new Blink Mini 2K Plus cameras. See your gifts arrive in head-to-toe view with Blink Video Doorbell. Ready to use right out of the box. Just unwrap Blink and go. From pet parents to jet setters to busy families, Blink Friday deals have your holidays covered. Shop now at Amazon.com/Blink. Say hello to the all-new Alexa Plus and see how Alexa can do so much more for you. Need tickets to see your favorite artist? Craving your comfort restaurant? Just sit back, relax, and talk naturally. Alexa's on it. It learns your style, anticipates what's next, and makes it happen across Echo, Fire TV, and more. Learn more at Amazon.com/new Alexa.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. Jay Kelly, the new film from Academy Award nominee Noah Baumbach. George Clooney stars as an actor confronting his past and present on a journey of self-discovery, alongside Adam Sandler as his devoted manager. Critics are calling it a declaration of love to the chaotic art of filmmaking, with the Wall Street Journal praising it as a transcendent comedy drama. Watch Jay Kelly December 5th, only on Netflix.
The Stone Zone, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back into the Stone Zone. I can't tell you how much I appreciate those warm words from Vice President J.D. Vance. Well, I think General Flynn has nailed it. He's called out the seditious conspiracy that is afoot and the military incitement. The general has accused the seditious the six Democrats, of releasing a scripted video encouraging U.S. military personnel to disobey lawful orders from the commander-in-chief if they deem them unethical, calling it textbook sedition. General Flynn highlighted Congresswoman Lisa Slotkin, a former CIA officer who worked for John Brennan, as a key figure, suggesting that this group is part of a larger pre-planned operation involving the so-called NGOs, some in the State Department and some in our own intelligence agencies. If you look at the history of lawfare in these deep state operations, General Flynn has correctly called out a timeline of illegal investigations of lawfare against Trump that began as far back as 2016, including the Russian collusion hoax, the impeachments, and, of course, the January 6th operation. He frames this as unrestricted warfare by the deep state operatives designed to create chaos and to shield figures like Obama and Biden from accountability. He warns that opponents will not roll over and they will actually escalate now, having lost the last election with new plans. General Flynn and I agree the president must publicly confront this seditious conspiracy publicly. He and I together have urged the president to give a nationwide address. What we saw unfolding in Washington with the brutal murder of 2 U.S. Army guardsmen is the beginning of what will be a broader insurrection in the country in both of our opinions. Revelations now about the left-wing NGOs and activist groups and these tactics being aimed at Trump are going to be mainstream. I saw Jesse Waters talking about this on Fox the other night. So this is not some marginal fringe element conspiracy. There's deep trouble afoot in this country. There are dark times ahead. And we're going to talk when we come back about exactly what must be done by the administration in order to preserve order and preserve the Constitution. You're getting a front seat to history right here in the Stone Zone with me, Roger Stone, because I've been in the corroded rectum of the two-party system for over 50 years. And I'll tell you exactly what's going on when we come back from this break.
Grabbing the holidays by the boughs with Duluth. Step 1. Hire a mall Santa to handle snow removal.
Ho, ho, ho! My sciatica.
Step 2. Hit Duluth Trading and load up on fire hose pants, buck naked underwear, pocket pack bibs, free swinging flannel, and all kinds of ingenious gear you won't find anywhere else. Grab the holidays by the boughs and shop Duluth Trading. Online and in store.
Optimism isn't sunshine and rainbows. It's fixing things, changing the way we fix things. It's running the world on smarter energy. Because if optimism never stops, then change can't either. GE Vernova, the energy of change.
Okay, only 10 more presents to wrap. You're almost at the finish line. But first... there, the last one. Enjoy a Coca-Cola for a pause that refreshes.
You don't technically need this car. You say that out loud to yourself. You say, I have no space. You say, I'm just looking. Then you click. Then you zoom in on photo number 87 and whisper, oh no. Then you text a friend, the one who always enables you. You say to yourself, this is the last one, knowing it is not. You don't need this car. But maybe, just maybe, this car needs you. Bring a trailer. It's never just a car.
The Stone Zone. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
We are back, Stone, and I hate to alarm you on the day after Thanksgiving, but there is a violent color revolution afoot in the United States. In my opinion, it is incumbent on the Department of Justice as well as the Department of War to take immediate action. The president has called for elected presidents who put out a video essentially calling for sedition to be prosecuted. I believe that there is a violation of law. The participants of this, all of them touting their deep state credentials, addressed our military personnel and intelligence analysts saying, we know you're under enormous stress and pressure right now. Americans trust their military, but that trust is at risk. This administration is pitting our uniformed military and intelligence community professionals against American citizens. No, we aren't. What we're doing is deporting dangerous, illegal, violent criminals who were let into this country by the drove by the previous administration. This is why they are urging members of the military to disobey orders from the commander-in-chief. This is an open call to arms for revolution. It is a violation of 18 U.S.C. Code 2387, which makes it a crime punishable by up to 10 years in prison for anyone with intent to interfere with, impair, or influence the loyalty, morale, or discipline of the military or naval forces, or to advise, counsel, urge, or in any other manner attempt to cause insubordination, disloyalty, mutiny, or refusal of duty by any member of the military or naval force of the United States. This seems to me to be an open and shut case of the violation of law. The president evidently agrees with me. He said on Truth Social, this is called seditious behavior at the highest level. Each one of these traitors to our country should be arrested and put on trial. The words cannot be allowed to stand. We won't have a country anymore, the president said. An example must be set. President Trump wrote all of this in a Truth Social post saying, this is what's got the left so upset, but they're right. Seditious behavior is punishable by death. If anybody wants to check the law books, or you can do it with AI, the penalty for treason is capital punishment. Democrats are predictably crying victim in response to President Trump's demand for justice. House Democrat leaders issued a statement. We have been in contact with the House Sergeant of Arms of the United States Capitol Police to ensure the safety of these members and their families. You see, they always like to play the victim. Donald Trump must immediately delete these unhinged social media posts and recant his violent rhetoric before it gets somebody killed. Actually, they're the ones who are advocating violence. They're the ones who ceaselessly defame people like me as racist, fascist, white supremacists, or Nazis. By the way, anytime anyone evokes the name of Adolf Hitler, look at them very carefully, because the basic rule of the left is something called Alinskyism, written by a communist revolutionary named Saul Alinsky. His very first rule was always accuse your political opponent or enemy of doing exactly what you yourself are doing. So while President Trump is absolutely correct that these elected lawmakers appearing in the video ought to face charges on sedition, it's not likely, unfortunately, that they'll be held to account. Nearly 1 year into President Trump's second term, I'm disappointed that not one of the deep state apparatchiks who invented the entire Russian collusion hoax has been exposed for committing blatant treason, and none of them have even been charged. The only individual who's been charged so far is former FBI Director James Comey. And of course, as we know, the charges against him were dismissed on a technicality, meaning there was never any examination of the actual question of whether he had lied under oath to Congress, what they charged me with. The difference being the lies he told were material. He was hiding the underlying conspiracy, the largest single dirty trick in American political history, the so-called Russian collusion hoax. There seems to be willful neglect of President Trump's electoral mandate to drain the swamp. If dozens of Obama and Biden-era criminals, I'm talking about people like CIA Director John Brennan, who I believe is behind the seditious six. It's not incidental that Senator Slotkin is a former associate of his. We're talking about James Clapper, the former national security advisor. I'm talking about the former head of the U.S. intelligence agency. Also, former national security advisor Susan Rice, former Deputy Attorney Rod Rosenstein, former FBI Director Andrew McCabe, and many others in the Russian collusion cabal have not been indicted and subjected to dehumanizing perp walks like my wife and I were, not being dragged through the grueling loop of humiliating court proceedings, then I think that the president's going to have a very hard time reassembling his coalition for the midterm elections. The American people want justice. They want accountability and justice. Certainly those who elected Donald Trump do, and they were a majority. But because the Department of Justice has refused to do its job and Democrat officials continue to, flap their gums and dare the administration to do something about it, there is a major, major problem. In their eyes, they're still above the law, these leftists. President Trump has delivered consequentially on so many issues, but none are more important to me than cleaning up the deep state and returning the nation to a constitution and a basis of law and order. Removing the permanent government from Washington, D.C. and crippling their apparatus of control, to me, is absolutely essential. Or they will just lie dormant and then undo the progress the president made as soon as he departs from the White House. Or if they can manage some way to win the midterm elections, the last 2 years of Donald Trump's presidency will be a blur of impeachments and investigations as they seek once again to undo his presidency. That's why I think it's incumbent that the Department of Justice moved quickly. Finally, President Donald Trump declared on Wednesday that any document signed by Joe Biden with an auto pen is hereby terminated and therefore no further in force or effect. Any document signed by Sleepy Joe Biden with the auto pen, which is approximately 92% of all documents signed by him, is hereby terminated and have no further force or effect. The auto pen is not allowed to be used if approval is not specifically given by the President of the United States. At least that's what President Trump said on Truth Social. Now, I don't think it is that simple. I think the way to do this is that the Department of Justice needs to charge somebody whose pardon was specifically executed with the auto pen. Let me give you an example. Dr. Anthony Fauci. Dr. Fauci definitely lied to Congress under oath. They accused me of lying to Congress under oath, but you see, no misstatement I made was either willful, nor did it hide any underlying crime. You see, there was no Russian collusion. There was no WikiLeaks collaboration. We know this because of the documents more recently declassified by the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. So in my case, they fabricated crimes in order to pressure me into bearing false witness against Donald Trump. They wanted me to be Michael Cohen, and I refused to be Michael Cohen. But until somebody is charged, and I think Fauci's a perfect example because it is very clear under questioning by Senator Rand Paul about whether U.S. taxpayers funded the gain-of-function experiments in the Wuhan lab, he said no when the truth is demonstrably yes. So the Justice Department could charge Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci's legal response would be that he cannot be charged because he has a pardon, a preemptive pardon that was signed by Joe Biden. The Justice Department could then argue that that preemptive pardon is not in force because it was executed by an auto pen. There, once again, gives you the basis to get the question of the auto pens in front of a court, which is the way to solve this problem. I mean, the radical left lunatics circulating Biden around the beautiful Resolute desk of the Oval Office took the presidency away from him. President Trump believes he's canceled all executive orders and anything else that was not directly signed by Crooked Joe himself, because the people who operated the auto pen did so illegally. Joe Biden was not involved in the auto pen process. That's pretty clear. And if he says he was, he'd be brought up on charges of perjury. Thank you for your attention to this matter, the president yet says again. It's really quite extraordinary, but that is the way to get to the bottom of the entire question of these auto pens. And I hope that they do it soon because, you see, it goes far, far more further than that. Meanwhile, there's an election this Sunday in Honduras that we should all be paying attention to because I think that the narco-Marxists who currently run Cuba, of course, and run Venezuela, where President Trump is determined to drive Maduro from power, are on the cusp of stealing yet another election. The Trump administration must make it clear that the Honduran people deserve a legitimate choice. President Trump's aggressive foreign policy in Latin America has actually been a major shift away from the type of Republican interventionism commonplace during the so-called neocon era under the Bushes. Instead of setting the untenable goal of promoting democracy to backwards left-wing Islamic cave dwellers, under Donald Trump, we've set our sights on the laudable goal of eliminating communism in our hemisphere. President Trump's decisive actions in Venezuela, under the leadership of my friend Secretary of State Marco Rubio, have put the communist dictator there, Nicolas Maduro, on notice. Maduro's is recruiting partners, however, through Latin America to facilitate his narco-trafficking empire, which he relies upon to remain afloat as the socialist policies of Venezuela have predictably led to widespread destitution and poverty in that country. Making matters worse for Maduro, his top allies in Honduras, the Libre Party of Honduras, is set to lose their grip on power this month if they have an honest election. New polling from the Instituto de Justicia showed the Libre Party presidential candidate Rixi Moncada in a distant third place behind national presidential candidate Nasri Asfura and the Liberal Party presidential candidate Salvador Nasrallah. But Nasrallah, to be very clear, is what in New York we call a ringer. This is a candidate that was thrown into the race in an attempt to split the vote of those who oppose Xiomara Castro and her left-wing regime, and Rixi Moncada, who would like to replace her. The president could really upset their entire apple cart here with one play. I thought of it this morning. You see, the previous president, whose name was Juan Orlando Hernandez, who was pro-U.S. and anti-communist, was framed by the Biden Justice Department and sentenced to 45 years in prison for non-existent drug dealing. He was convicted solely and completely on the basis of testimony from two convicted drug traffickers who were already in prison. And in return for their testimony against Hernandez, you guessed it, they were let out of prison. So what I think you have coming here is an attempt to steal this election, and to do so by either the fake technology that we have seen utilized in Venezuela and elsewhere. I think we saw it used in our own elections here in 2020. But President Trump should pardon, between now and Sunday, he should announce the pardon of Juan Orlando Hernandez. And I think that would drive the forces of Hernandez's party to victory. Meanwhile, watch this carefully, Tulsi Gabbard has been deputized to run a working group to examine the dependability and the security of both the computerized voting machines and also examine the question of paper mail-in ballots. This is the Achilles heel of the American left. And now, once we have a final governmental determination of whether there is not supposition, not theory, not investigative journalism, but hard evidence that these electronic voting machines can, in fact, be manipulated, as I believe they can, and as I believe it will be shown, then I think there is almost no chance the Democrats will win the 2026 election. I think that there were at least 20 million non-existent votes votes of people who did not exist counted in the last election. I think that will and can be proven. Glad to see that Tulsi Gabbard, a former Democrat, is heading up this effort within the Trump administration. The CIA, I think, is working overtime to try to knock this investigation off course and to withhold vital information. But I think the truth is coming, and the truth will set us free. You're listening to the Stone Zone here with me, Roger Stone. We got more politics for you, so whatever you do, don't go away.
This holiday, discover meaningful gifts for everyone on your list at Kay. Not sure where to start? Our jewelry experts are here to help you find or create the perfect gift, in-store or online. Book your appointment today and unwrap love this season, only at Kay.
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Carvana lets you buy your next car on your terms. Explore a massive inventory online, filter for what matters, and find your perfect match. Then choose delivery to your home or pick it up at one of Carvana's iconic car vending machines. Every car also comes with a 7-day money-back guarantee, so you can make sure it's the right fit. Buy your car on Carvana. Delivery or pickup fees may apply. Limitations and exclusions may apply. See our 7-day return policy at Carvana.com.
Carvana.
And now a message from McAfee.
Your package couldn't be delivered.
You owe thousands in unpaid tolls.
You want a free gift.
If texts like these sound familiar, McAfee can help. McAfee automatically identifies text and email scams as well as AI-generated audio to help you stay safe. If they're faking it, they're not making it past us. Get award-winning scam detection today. McAfee.com/keepitreal.
This episode is brought to you by Marqeta. When it comes to your payments provider, you can't afford to compromise. Marqeta's modern payment solutions flex with your business without the trade-offs. Stable and agile, secure and innovative, scalable and configurable. If they say you can't have it all, don't believe them. Your business demands more. Choose a payments provider that delivers more. Choose Marqeta. Visit Marqeta.com/Spotify to learn more.
The Stone Zone. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back into the Stone Zone. Well, the money mystery out of Ukraine has finally arrived, and it turns out that it's plated in solid gold. So this month, while Ukrainians face 12 to 16-hour blackouts, and they literally burn furniture for heat, wiretaps have exposed President Volodymyr Zelensky's closest associate, a man named Timur Mindich, a 45-year-old co-founder of Zelensky's party, bargaining over 10 to 15% kickbacks on the Western aid meant to shield the power grid. For 4 years, Americans watched billions of our tax dollars disappear into a war led by this former comedian who ran on a presidential campaign to stop corruption. As I said earlier in the show, I drove down to Miami to look at his $3.8 million beachfront condominium. Wonder who paid for that other than you and I. Democracy's at stake became the war cry of those in Washington who want us to pour hundreds of millions of our tax dollars into a losing war in Ukraine. But in fact, there is no democracy because Zelensky has canceled the elections and he has refused to hold new ones. So don't tell me this is about democracy, because it's not. Now, after 15 months of secret surveillance, more than 1,000 hours of wiretaps, and coordinated raids, Ukraine's National Anti-Corruption Bureau and the Specialized Anti-Corruption Prosecutor's Office have exposed everything, as Zelensky's office was raided this morning and his longtime associate, Timur Mindich, was arrested. We realize now what this war is about. President Trump has a plan to end the war. That plan is a work in progress, and it would cede certain portions of Ukraine. Places, by the way, I should point out, where 90% of the population speaks Russian, and where a previous plebiscite with a 90% turnout showed 90% of voters wanted to rejoin the Soviet Union. You won't read that anyplace in the New York Times, but it is a fact. What they found this morning could turn into a massive scandal for Zelensky, a national humiliation. Actually, Zelensky actually has a gleaming gold-plated toilet, gym bags overflowing with banded tens of millions of dollars of federal U.S. currency, every dollar traced right straight back to protective shelters for the nuclear plants that we paid for, but which were never built. The man who owned it all, Timur Mindich, a longtime business partner of Zelensky, co-owner of the entertainment empire, an Israeli citizen who had conveniently fled after being tripped off hours earlier. But this morning, the chief of staff for Zelensky was arrested in the very same scandal. So by nightfall, these photos of bags stuffed with shrink-wrapped $100 bills and the gold-plated toilet from Mindich's apartments exploded across all the Ukrainian media and those who are left with cell phones. This is a massive scandal that I think is the beginning of the end for little Zelensky. In the meantime, it looks to me like the president is moving closer and closer to ending this war. This would be a cap on his ending 8 other conflicts around the globe. History can bestow no greater title than that of peacemaker, and Donald Trump is doing that. Many in the MAGA coalition believe, however, it is time that he turn his focus to domestic issues, because while food prices are down, they are not down as low as they were in the final year of his presidency. And while gas prices are down, they're not down as low as they were in the final year of his presidency. But those who are conceding the 2026 elections are doing so far too early. And I believe once we get the interest rate cut we deserve from the Federal Reserve and the housing market opens up, we could have the kind of boom economy that got President Ronald Reagan reelected. So those in the Republican ranks, those who are giving up on the 2026 election, I say not so fast. I'm Roger Stone. You're listening to the Stone Zone. God bless you for being here with us. And until we meet again, God bless you and Godspeed. The Black Friday BOGO sale is here at All Family Pharmacy. And let me tell you, this is the kind of deal that actually matters. From November 24th through December 2nd, when you buy one ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, or mebendazole, you get another one absolutely free. So at a time when Americans are tired of being lectured and restricted by bureaucrats, this is your chance to be prepared on your terms. No politics, no gatekeepers. Just real options that put you in control. Here's how simple it is. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/stone. Place your order online and a licensed physician reviews it immediately. Once approved, your medication ships straight to your door. Fast, private, and secure. This Black Friday event lasts only 1 week and supplies are limited. So when the inventory is gone, that's it. No extensions, no second chances. Just like every other real deal worth talking about seriously. If you want to stay ready, stay protected, and stay independent, go to allfamilypharmacy.com/stone before December 2nd and lock in your Black Friday BOGO deal. Take control of your health. Stay prepared and stay free.